Can a $13 bottle of head gasket sealer actually fix my BMW i8's engine problems and save me from a 5-figure dealer service bill? Well, finding out could be as easy as pouring and praying, but not with this product. You see, there's actually 12 steps in the instructions list here, and it's why I think this sealer, even though it's one of the cheapest you could buy, could potentially be more effective. As a matter of fact, I've used this same stuff successfully one other time on a Porsche 911 with a crack in its cylinder head, and I drove that car well over a year from the time I ran that sealer, and it never failed. Now, the first step in the instructions here tell us to remove the thermostat from the car, which is a total pain on the BMW i8, but here we go. Now we got to let out any water from the underside of the car that didn't come out when we were pulling the thermostat out. And since we've done this multiple times already, you could see straight water's coming out of this system. That gives us a huge advantage because normally you'd have to flush the system probably 3 to 5 times to make sure it's clear. The sealer that we're using is only compatible with water. This is usually the most laborious part of this job when you're using this product, but it's imperative that you do it because from what I understand, if this sealer mixes with antifreeze, it'll gel. So you'll basically be sending concrete mix through your cooling system. Now, there are other products designed to work with coolant still in your system, but I tend to think this approach is just cleaner, and it's obvious by the consistency of it, which we'll see in a moment here in step 5. Now, before we dump this magic sludge into this car's cooling system and ruin it for good, I want to address your last minute concerns because many of you are still not convinced that this car has a warped cylinder head, and we've got to start with the #1 most echoed comment, and that is the idea that there's a blockage in the radiator. Now, if we go and run a garden hose to the top inlet here, turn it on, you can see it streams out of the bottom just perfectly. After getting this car warm and running it a few times, specifically while doing the computer bleed procedure, I have seen some decent temperatures in that radiator with our laser thermometer. So there's no reason to investigate that any further. The radiator is fine. Of course, blockages in other places like the lower hoses or the hoses leading to the engine. We pulled the hoses many times on the bottom of the car. Obviously, we've taken off the thermostat hose inlet to the engine a bunch of times before. The water streams out nice. It streams out clear. I would bet money there is not a single blockage in this engine, at least not until we throw that sludge in. But the second thing is that there's a blockage from a piece of thermostat shrapnel since we found our thermostat broken into a bunch of pieces. But if you actually take the thermostat that we found broken and compare it to a good working one, you'll see that the only pieces missing are these 3 tiny little plastic fingers. I don't think those would be big enough to block a coolant passage in the engine. Now, the last concern is that we just have a failed coolant temperature sensor and it's telling us the car's overheating when it's actually not, but that doesn't make a lot of sense since, again, we verified these temperatures using this laser thermometer gun, as well as the fact that we just have so many other symptoms of the car overheating while it's overheating. It's so easy to overthink a strange issue like this one, especially on an over-engineered car like this one, but the bottom line is our problem is much simpler than even I've made it. That thermostat, it blew apart, and because it did, blocking the flow of the coolant to the engine. Obviously, at one point it overheated. This thing was dumped at auction, and how many people at the auction test drove it to the point where it overheated? Then I got it, I drove it, it overheated. That cylinder head is basically a banana at this point. And so when you get in this funk of chasing problems that don't exist, it's always best to just stop and think about it. The best stuff is never all that extra. And that's exactly why I've been depending on my electric XP4. It keeps things simple and really fun. Anytime I'm picking up or dropping off a car, I take the XP4 because I know I'll actually make it. With up to 85 miles of range on a single charge, a top speed of 28 miles an hour, and a ride that's capable both on and off-road. It's built for low maintenance travel, and travel it really does since I can fold it up and fit it into the hatch of most of my cars. Electric really nailed the perfect balance here between convenience and capability. This has easily become my most reliable form of transportation around here. It is a workhorse, but what I really love about the XP4 is that it's so versatile. I can just enjoy a nice ride on it. I'll turn the pedal assist down to eco mode, and it gives you just enough power as you're pedaling to let you ride for a very long stretch without any sort of fatigue. It is really the best of both worlds, and I want you to check out Electric at the link down down in the description or just scan the QR code here on the screen. Make sure you use code SAM at checkout. That's going to get you a free bike cover with your bike purchase over at Lectric. There's a reason this is the third best-selling electric vehicle in the entire country. Check out the XP4 for yourself down at that link in the description. Back to step 5. We've got to heat up 3 quarts of water, and now we can mix in our can of sealer. This stuff basically has the consistency of Yoo-hoo, which I never really liked. I don't even understand it. If you want to drink chocolate milk, just drink chocolate milk. Not a drink that's supposed to be like chocolate milk, but isn't chocolate milk. Anyway, while we've been doing our last steps, I've been pulling a vacuum on the BMW, and this is how we're going to fill the car with the sealer. Now, the instructions advise you to add this straight to the radiator, but because the way our system is laid out, the only straightforward way to add anything to the cooling system is through its overflow tank, but at least by vacuum filling it, we'll be getting most of the sealer past the tank and in the system. Now, the capacity of the BMW's cooling system is quite a bit bigger than 3 quarts, so when the bucket got low on mix, I just added more water, stirred it up again, and filled it up until it was full. Let's start this car up. Let's hit the gas. Car is running. Let's see here. This thing has been running for maybe 5-6 minutes. Oy vey. And we're already at 97 degrees. This is going to be tough. This thing is supposed to run for 30 minutes straight. No revs, no nothing, just idle. But if it overheats, they tell you to shut it down, you know, make sure things cool down, let it cool down, then kind of restart it until you get it to that 30-minute threshold. And I actually had that happen when we were doing this on my Porsche 911, which turned out successful. But we're gonna see, we're at 99 degrees right now. All right, our fan just kicked into high speed and we hit 117, now 118 degrees. So that's technically where we're overheating a bit. Good news is we got almost 15 minutes out of this run, which is similar to what we got when we were doing the computer bleed procedure before. We're gonna wanna watch that temperature gauge, which is annoying to unlock every single time you turn the car on. We're gonna need it to shed a good few degrees so we can get it to run almost another 15 minutes and complete our 30-minute cycle. Now, if you've been following along, you know that when we scoped the cylinders here, we found some sort of liquid in cylinder 3, and the other ones looked almost too clean. This inconsistency is something to keep in mind, as step 5 mentions, to deactivate both spark and fuel injection for any affected cylinders. They tell you to do this because if you have a crack in your cylinder head or a breach in the gasket, usually only one cylinder will be affected. And when the sealer reaches that problem area with the engine running, combustion pressure will just blow the sealer out. By disabling fuel and spark in an individual cylinder, you can remove combustion from the equation, giving the sealer a better chance to set and seal properly. So here's how we got this all hooked up. We just have cylinders 1 and 2 plugged back in, and then we've got the ignition coil out of number 3. I mean, we could put it in. We're just gonna leave it unplugged. And then I've also went and unplugged this right here. That's the injector clip for cylinder number 3 right there, so it won't fire while we're running this engine. All right, we're running, we're shaking pretty good because we're down 1 cylinder on a 3-cylinder. We've gone from 3 to 2 cylinders. We'll have that 3rd cylinder back soon enough. But anyway, right now we're gonna run this until, as long as we can, or until it overheats. I don't wanna speak too soon. This is the 2nd time we're running this. We're probably close to 10 minutes in again. And this has been sitting at right here, 113 degrees for several minutes. Oh, there it is. Let me just shut up, okay? Oh, look, there we go, there we go. All right, this thing has run over 30 minutes now. We are still at 114 degrees, but that's it. We're gonna shut it down. So I've been thinking about this. Do you think that this car only got up to 114 degrees and stayed there? It didn't get 1 degree higher. I watched it the entire time. Is it because the block sealer is already starting to work its magic, or is it just that we're running on 2 cylinders, less combustion equals less heat, and so that's just kind of where it got. Obviously, we're not revving the engine or anything. Either way, that's good because it let us run the engine the entire duration that they want you to, and whether we're down a cylinder or not, It doesn't really make a difference, and it will make a huge difference if that cylinder that we pulled the plug on is actually affected by the warped head or the blown head gasket, whatever situation we got going in this engine. So anyway, for now, we're done with the hard stuff. We just got to let this cool down a bit, and then we're going to evacuate it all out of the system. That's one of the things I kind of like about this product, even though I've only used it really like one other time, is that they tell you, get rid of it. Don't leave it in your system. As a matter of fact, flush it out when you're all done. You don't want any left. A lot of other products call for you to leave it in indefinitely. This is a one and done, and they say it works permanently. We'll find out in 24 hours. All right, there we go. And just so you could take a look, here's obviously one of the hoses here. See any residual stuck in there? I mean, I'm telling you, this stuff, I mean, it's not ideal to be running it in your cooling system, but I don't think this specific version of the head sealer leaves as much of a mess as other people will tell you it will. And you can see what our water comes out looking like. It's a bit less concentrated than when we initially mixed it, but you can see how thin it is. There's no clumps of stuff anywhere. You get kind of this peachy looking water that has the consistency of coolant. It does feel slippery, like there is some additive or something in there. All right, we have completed our vacuum fill. You can see the tank has water almost all the way up to the brim. And now we'll just swap to our factory cap. Oh shit. This is just one of BMW's rules, but they say once the cap is screwed on, they want you to open the bleeder valve and then close it. And so I guess that would just let out any extra air. Personally, I don't think that does anything at all. The moment I've been waiting for a little bit over 24 hours. Will this block seal actually allow this car to run once again without overheating? Now, there should be very little, if not any battery power at all, high voltage battery power. You can see we're all the way on zero. We're running straight on gas, and I can hear the engine's clearly already kicked over. I've got the heater on from the last time we were doing our test. I'll get the service gauges up on here. We're gonna take this for a nice, easy, smooth drive and just watch those coolant temps. And you can see I've got everything hooked back up in the engine here. We've got the injector and cylinder number 3 plugged back in, and it's running, well, like any little 3-cylinder would. It's not the smoothest engine in the world, but we don't need smooth, we need cool. I put it in sport mode just so it forces the engine on, because I notice when I come to a stop, it is still shutting it off like it is a hybrid. But we're getting into that zone now, over 90 degrees, where we're gonna wanna keep a close eye on things, because this is where it tends to go pretty crazy pretty quick. Okay, so far not great. We're at 101, and remember, there's no thermostat at all. Oh, we're at 105. Now we're going down. Hold on, guys. We're gonna see right now. Uh-oh. Look, we're at 105. We did go down a few degrees. Come on, all right, I'm gonna take it out of sport mode while we're cruising here, because it's really holding that first gear. Oh man, look at that. Come on, don't talk too soon, Sam. I really like to see that drop under 100 degrees. Here we go again. Oh, not liking it. I'm not liking it. Jeez, it is really toying with us, this thing. Look, what was it at? 100 and something. Look, I'm gonna kick it to sport mode now just to force the engine on, and I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna idle it for a second. But what were we at? 114 or 115, and it dropped. look at that. Look at the jump. Ooh! Nope, not good. I don't get this thing. I don't know. Look, it went from 120. From 120 to 108. I can tell you it's hotter than heck in this cabin. The heater's running. Guys, it's getting right to the danger zone, 117 to 120 degrees Celsius, and then it's falling. And remember, this is the first vacuum fill. I mean, I really want to take this on a longer, more consistent stretch, but I'm also kind of high up here. Oh, look at it, just climbing at idle. Just going high. Let's watch, here we go, even higher. We're not moving at all. Well, this was no fun. I hate this car. I hate it.